Welcome back to Spirit Sherpa, where we bring spiritual practitioners, coaches, and teachers into success, sovereignty, and spiritual expansion. My name is Kelle Sparta. I'm a transformational shaman and a spiritual business coach. And today we are going to do one of our episodes that is about a sacred business calibration. And what that means is that I come into someone's business and I use my energetic skills and my business skills to help get them unstuck from wherever they are, or provide them with a framework or a way forward in their business to find success and prosperity. Today we have Katie Utterback, and she is here to have her business work done. So thank you for coming on the call, Katie. Please tell our listeners a little bit about you and your business.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelle. I am a trauma-informed ICF certified life coach and astrologer, and I like to combine the two because I started off life coaching after discovering that I was the black sheep scapegoat of a family that was riddled with all forms of abuse. Narcissistic abuse is what I predominantly experienced, but there's a lot of unfamiliarity with emotional abuse, financial abuse, psychological abuse. So I started to realize that the path forward to get clarity on who I was really involved looking at my birth chart before I was conditioned to be a specific way. And I started to realize as I was coaching, a lot of my clients were looking for that same path that I took. And I wanted to make sure I did not harm anyone. So I became a certified astrologer, and I now blend the two because I found that astrology can give people validation in terms of who they are, how they're meant to live their life. And it can also give you the terminology that you can bring to a therapist, for example, and really work on some of that deeper wounding that I may not be able to fully help someone with.
So the work that you're doing, we were talking about it just before we got on the call. Tell me a little bit about what the challenge is that you're experiencing and why you booked the call.
Yeah, so I am a 5/1 projector in human design, and I think that that also plays a role in this. I need to be invited into someone's energy in order to work with them. And what I'm finding is that if I am working with another company, for example, I am a astrologer. I provide wellness services to corporations and their employees. And if I meet people through that service, I have a incredibly high rebooking rate. I have people say that they have never felt so seen. They feel so validated. I give them the terminology that they need to go to therapy and work on whatever it is they need to. But organically, I seem to just kind of hit a wall. I'm finding that someone wrote me an email and she said, it was difficult to get through some of the first parts of the first module because you're talking about water being alive and having all of this messaging, and it can help us on our healing journey. But then she also let me know she ended up finishing the course, and it was one of the most powerful healings she had done. And so I have to get over some sort of block. I'm standing in my way, and I don't know if it's fear of being seen, it's this projector invitation, or if I just need to calm down my language, because I'm also noticing a lot of my storytelling uses a lot of inflamed language, a lot of very heavy word choice instead of just describing the feeling.
Yeah. So if it was a powerful result for her, then what it tells me is that she's not woo woo. And so she didn't resonate with that language, but you want woo woo people. So she wasn't really your target market, right? And so I'm not so worried about the water thing. And I'm not really worried about the language thing if she still got a powerful outcome out of it because it reflects the energy that she's in anyway, right?
So this was a little bit of an independent study. I created this program and I had it on Teachable, but I was finding that nobody was buying it. So I offered 12, like a beta program, 12 women to join my course for free. I had 12 women sign up. Nobody completed the course. So
Right.
I just decided I want to get this work out there. I created it for a reason. I put it on YouTube for free. And
Hmm.
this is how this individual found it and completed the course. So I didn't have any sort of upsell. I didn't have any kind of really opportunity for them to get in touch with me other
Right.
than going to my website and looking at my offerings.
So you're selling transformation. Was there coaching involved with this or just the course?
There was some coaching in terms of I went through everything in the module. I had journal questions. They were able to reach out to me if they wanted to. Um, but like I said, nobody was completing the course. People would sign up if it was free or they would express interest in it, but they weren't hitting the purchase button at a price. So then I started to question the price and go up and down.
How would
Um,
they get to the course?
at first I had it on Teachable. So
Right,
if
but
you
how
would
would they get to Teachable?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I had a link on my website. I would post about it on social media. I shared in my newsletter, and it just
Okay.
never
And what
spread.
language were you using to get people to that site? What was give me an example of an ad that you were running or a post that you would make?
I would talk to people about transforming your life. Like, do you want to live a life that feels authentic to you? Do you want to live a life where you wake up in the morning and you feel like, excuse my language, like, fuck yes, this is my life. I can't believe I get to live this life. And I had so many people say, like, oh, yeah, like, that's exactly what I want to do. But then, to your point, just there wasn't that buy in. And so I even
Right.
remember in the first module saying that the reason I'm charging for this, the reason that I don't want you to share this with just anyone is because if you're not financially investing in this, I don't think you're going to actually finish the course.
Well, and so you set up your people that you let in for free to not be that,
I did.
right? So, and they were like, "Oh, well, I didn't buy it, so I shouldn't finish it," right? So I hope you changed that when you did it for free for them. Probably not, right?
Yeah, no, I did not.
Yeah, that's part of the setup for failure on that side. But what was the language of the sales page?
It was very similar to just kind of describing what was in each module, how it was going to help them transform. So, for example, module 1, it was
So I
taking
don't need to
oh,
know what's in the modules. I just need a sense of how you were selling it. So were you still doing an aspirational sell or were you doing a pain point sell? What were you doing?
very aspirational.
Okay.
Selling feels awkward to me.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of shame
Yeah.
and teaching on selling being bad. And yeah, I
Yeah.
never really
So
studied business either. I went to school for journalism. So
okay.
this whole
All
thing
right. So
is,
let's dig down into this because what I'm hearing is that you didn't do a pain point sell at any point. And 90% of people move away from what they don't want, and 10% of people move towards what they do. So if you're only doing an aspirational sell ever and you're never referencing the pain, you're only going to get 10% of the people. And I'm betting that you did not send like 5,000 people to that sales page.
no.
Yeah. This is the thing. There are two things that keep people from closing deals. One is that they don't get enough traffic to their sales page. And that is the vast majority of people. Okay. And then two, their sales page is not doing a proper job of selling, which is often the case. Right. And so the key that you need to look at is what is your problem, agitate, sell. Right. You need to state the problem, agitate it, and then give the solution. Right. And so your how many people were you getting onto the sales page? Did you ever look at your analytics?
Yeah, I had like 2,500 people.
Land on the
Like,
sales page.
yeah,
Okay. So then you did not have a problem getting people to the page. It was the page that was not doing the job. So it sounds like you were like, here's my curriculum, blah, 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 blah. That is, like this much of a good sales page. It is a very small amount of a good sales page. It sounds like when you were talking to me about it, it sounds like that was 90% of your sales page. Yeah.
oh, I think I would even say 98%.
Okay. So that's the problem. Okay. So when you're building a sales page, you have to remember that it's like buying a vacation, right? You need to sell them the beach, not the plane, not the hassle of getting through the airport, not the, getting your bags into the overhead and dealing with the person next to you who won't shut up, right? None of that, right? Like, you need to be selling the beach, the end result. And the everything in the course is the plane. So you need to be talking about why they need a vacation, what's going on that they absolutely have to have this vacation, and to just really bring that up to presence because they're tolerating a lot of crap right now. that they really need a vacation for, right? That's what that is. And then you gloss over the plane. You're like, okay, and this is I have a framework. We have a plane. You will be on a plane, and then. And you're not giving the details of the plane. You're not going into who's flying the plane or who's the people who are in the service, of the plane. None of that. You are just saying, yes, there will be a plane. And it has a structure and it gets there, right? And then here's some social proof that of people who've done it that said that the plane was amazing and I got where I was going on the beach, which was awesome, right? And then it's all about the beach, right? That's how you make a sale on a sales page. Okay, you do have to reference how it works. You have to explain that. And, like in my Sacred Profits mentorship program, there's a lot of stuff that we include in the program. And so there's a lot of the sales page that it's like, you get this, you get this, you get this, you get this. But that is after we have done the problem agitate piece and after we've done the social proof piece and the who I am and why you should listen to me piece, because that needs to be in there too, right? And then we go into here's the cost of not doing it piece. Who is it? Before you get to the details, you also have to say who it's for and maybe who it's not for, right? Because there's certain people you don't want, right? And, if you're not ready to commit, if you're not willing to be called out on things and have to look at yourself and have to change, if you're not willing to change your mindset, if these are all reasons why you shouldn't come into the program, right? This is not for you right? If you don't have the bandwidth to change because you're too busy, if you literally have no time to do the program, or if you're terrible at doing things that are self-directed and you won't finish it, don't bother starting it, right? So, we'd rather you spend your money elsewhere, right? That sort of thing, right? And so all of that is what goes in before you even talk about what the structure is and what you're providing and all of that, right? Because people want to know, does this resonate? Does this person see me for who I am? And is this program for me? Is it going to work for me? That's all they care about. They don't care what it is as long as they know it's going to work for them. So, and for you, you're going to need to add the woo stuff in, right? So your language is going to have to include the woo in the marketing, in the social media post, right? So you did great at getting people to the page. That's amazing. That's better than 95% of people, okay? So you've only got one part that's broken in your process, which is the sales page, okay? So, and then, you have to make sure that the button to buy works.
Yes.
I had that recently. I changed what I thought was I simplified the sales page, quote unquote, simplified the sales page and found out that I broke the buy button. And thankfully somebody reached out and said, it just clicks and spins and it doesn't actually do anything. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yes. Bless those people.
God, it's been out there for 4 days and it is broken for 4 days and nobody said anything. And there were like 6 people or 10. No, there was 45 people in the previous week. So it had to be like, like 30 people who didn't, if they tried to buy, couldn't. And nobody said anything. And I'm like, I always tell people when there's a problem on their business pages or anything in their marketing, I'm like, here, I'm the person who's going to tell you because nobody else is going to tell you. And I would want to know. So this lovely person said, I want to buy your program, but I can't. I'm like, oh my God, let me fix it. Right. And yeah, it turns out I had to just go back to the previous version and be less efficient because the other one worked and this one didn't. And I couldn't figure out why and I wasn't going to try. So I was like, screw it, just go back to what I know works, right? And so, this is the thing is that you've got to make sure that everything functions, right? But, the challenge is going to be if you're offering, so you have the same problem that a lot of people who do transformation have. And that is that you are a doorway, right? You are an initiatrix, right? You initiate people from one state of being to the next. I am the same person. I'm the initiatrix, right? And the challenge for us is that to be able to walk people from one state of being to another is very simple for us, but it's not for the average person. The average person goes, when the door opens in front of them, when the door appears in front of them, they freak out, right? And then the door opens and they go, oh shit, I can't do this. I gotta be somewhere else, right? They freak out. If there's no one there to be with them while they do it, the average person is not going to make it through. Okay. So you cannot do a self-directed transformational process and expect it to do remarkably well, right? I sell a lot of people into my Welcome to the Woo program and almost no one into the self-study version of it. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I have a self-study version, but almost no one buys it. And when they do buy it, they sometimes they finish it and sometimes they don't. And they always say, I wish I'd bought the bigger program, that I bought the full coaching package, right? And that's because it's a transformational process. And I tell them, when they come on the call, I'm like, okay, so this is how much it is. And they go, oh, I can't afford that. And I'm like, okay, but this is the self study. But I got to tell you, there are going to be times that you're going to need some help. So make sure you reach out, get a private coaching session or whatever. There's options there that you can do a one-off session and blah, blah, blah. And they never do. Right. And then they get stuck or they fall away or whatever because they don't have the stick to itiveness because they're in resistance around the process. It's not that they are undisciplined because my people are some of the most disciplined people out there. They get stuff done, right? But it is because they've run into their own resistance and they don't have anybody to pull them out of it, right? And so I'm going to say to you, I would not offer this program I would absolutely not offer it as a free course. So I'll start with that. Get it off of YouTube. Okay. And then the second thing is that you need to be charging more for it, not less. Okay. Your problem isn't that your price was too high. Your problem is that your price was too low and you need to include coaching. Okay. So it's 7 weeks, you said?
It's 7 courses, like 7 modules. But yeah, I do think that it will lend itself well to even longer than 7 weeks because when you're dealing with attachment theory or you're learning that you're essentially addicted
Mm-hmm.
to, it could be a lover or a parent, a sibling,
Yep.
the same way that someone could be addicted to heroin,
Yep.
that can take some time to process. And so I do think you're absolutely right. I needed to be there to catch them. And
Yep.
I'm so used to my own resilience from having to be in life that it comes so easily, or not, I shouldn't say easily. It's just so part of the life process to me that I forget that, yeah, there are people that are holding onto the door frame. I'm not going.
Yeah. Okay. So, you have two options. You can offer it as a 7-week program or 6 weeks plus a bonus week, right? Or you can offer it as a 12-week program or 9-week or whatever you need. But what I would probably recommend is some people are going to be able to do it in the time frame allotted. They're like you, right? And so they'll be bored by the time you get to the end of 12 weeks and you don't want that, right? Because they're the ones who are most likely to go on to do the next thing and you don't want them bored. So I would make it a 7-week program and I would offer people the option. I would do it as a rolling enrollment. Okay. So this is how I run Welcome to the Woo. Okay. Everybody comes in and they get their program at whatever place their program is. So they come in at the beginning of their program. And so everybody's in a different place in the program. And I tell people that I'm like, nobody is starting the same time you are. Nobody's on the same module you are. Nobody's on the same lesson you are. So work as fast or slow as you want. If you can't do anything for a week, no one will know. You can catch up next week and I don't even check. Right. So you don't even have to worry about me going, oh, you're, standing over you and wagging my finger. But do know that at the end of your 7-week process or whatever it is, if you have not finished, you have the option to extend, but it is going to be at a monthly rate that is equivalent to 1/7 of the price that you paid. Right. Because you're paying that much per week. Right. And so, you may want to make that number a little bit less because they're not getting new content. Right. But and if they're coming in on a payment plan, then just keep the number the same. Right. It doesn't matter because they're used to paying that. Right. And so you just say you can extend as many times as you want. I had one person. Now, my program is a 4-month program. I had somebody who took a year to finish it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And she just kept paying the monthly fee until she finished it. Okay. Extra money in your pocket, and they get to move at their own pace. And you're not doing launches constantly, which sucks. Launches
Yeah.
suck. Okay. And so when you can do it as a rolling enrollment. And what it's doing is it's seeding people with the questions that come in. It's seeding the people who haven't gotten to those questions. It's seeding them with information. And then it's reminding them as people ask questions from where they have already been, it's reminding them of what happened before. And so it's providing a holistic approach to the entire process, right? And so with the transformational process, this is great. This works really well. And you're providing a container where, and this is the important part, if you're going to do a coaching container like this, you have to set some really solid boundaries. You need to make it very clear that they're not allowed to coach each other ever. And you also have to have language in your contract that says, under no circumstances will you ever be allowed to abuse anyone else in the program. And if you do, you are out with no refund and no recourse. And, first time, no warning, because that's how you create safety in your container. There can be no transformation without safety. Okay. And you need to be a hard ass about it. If somebody starts going down the road, you need to be like, eh. And if they stop, they're fine. They can stay. But if they don't, out. Because if you allow it to happen in the container, you will shut down the entire process for everybody else for the rest of that group. For so long as that group is there, there will be no processing. And every new person you add in will see that there's no processing happening, and they will self-regulate for that.
Yeah, and that would truly just violate my own little Hippocratic oath of doing no harm in this whole
Yeah.
wellness.
And you need to be
healing
careful
space.
with your language. You can't say a Hippocratic oath unless you're a doctor.
Yes.
Okay. You need to be really careful about that language, because the medical community will come for you if you do that. So don't use that term. Okay. My own internal ethics is fine, but don't use that term, because they will come for you for practicing medicine without a license. Be very careful. Okay. So yeah, so that's a thing, but you do coaching. Now you can do a couple of different paths to coaching. One of the biggest challenges with coaching and coaching calls is that people don't have time to come on that call. Their schedule doesn't fit, which is really annoying. Okay. Because, I sign people up from Australia and from London and from Canada and from the US, and they're apart by 12, 14 hours. And I'm like, how do I schedule this? Right. And I stopped trying, and I went to Marco Polo. And so all of my coaching is now asynchronous video chat. And so that way people can come in, they can ask their question on video, and then I answer it on video when I have the time, when I'm available. They know I don't answer over the weekends and at night, and that way I get a life, right? But it gives people the opportunity to be in a group setting still, and they talk to each other. I've had times, not in my Welcome to the Woo program, because Josh is teaching that now, but in my Woo U program, where they were doing Woo U and Psychic Mastery at the same time. And I had like 8 people in the program, and I cut it off at that point because I came in one day and there were 20 videos. And it's like, the hell did you guys talk about while I was gone? All I did was go to bed. And they're like laughing. And they bonded. They bonded so much that when that group left when they graduated from the program, they started their own alumni group, and they're still talking to each other. So it's a beautiful thing to have people bond and to have that bond continue. I mean, I have people who have been in group together who are long friends. They have been friends for 8 years, and they started with me 8 years ago. They met in my program. So, it is a great way to have people bond. Okay.
Yeah, and I really like that Marco Polo idea, especially as a projector. I know I have to really preserve my energy. It's not as constant as other types of energy.
Mhm.
And I do love that idea of bringing people together, because I think when you go through this kind of a healing journey, knowing you're not alone and knowing just how similar the experiences are is
Yes.
incredibly validating, and it does pull you out of that fog.
Yes. And the group becomes it becomes a surrogate family. When you don't let people coach each other, and all they can do is support each other, and you model for them what that looks like, and you say, okay, this is how you support one another, and you say, oh, this was amazing, and oh, I had that experience too, and you were so brave and so amazing to do this and da da da. To just be able to support people, and you teach them how to do that because they don't know how to do that because they never learned it, right?
Mhm.
And so that's why they bond, right? Is because they become that surrogate family, and so they become family, and that environment is so much more powerful than a one-on-one coaching call because they get that part of it, right? They learn how to be in a healthy group environment. And that is super valuable on the other side, right? So that's exactly what I do with mine, right? I think that this is a great path for you with this. And I'm going to say this before we got on the call, you said you weren't sure you were still aligned with this program. So the question then becomes, what comes after this? What's the
Yeah,
next thing that people go through after they get through this piece?
it's motherhood. It's motherhood being alone, estranged from your own mom. And that's kind of what I'm in right now. There's a tremendous amount of potential triggers,
Hmm.
especially when you have a young child, because you're going to see how small your child is, and you're going to realize or remember you were that small. And if the rejection, like in my case, happened when you're 18 months or younger, you see how small that is, and it's life changing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the next iteration I think I'm moving toward. Is the first piece was leaving the family and trying to figure out who you are. The
Right.
next piece is kind of what you were talking about, being that mother, but not just to young children. It's learning to become a thermostat instead of a thermometer in all group settings.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to say is I don't think that you still have a connection to this work of the program you already wrote. You do. You just don't want to be talking about the content, which you will not if you provide the content and then only do coaching on questions, right? So you're not going to be talking about the same things over and over again, which is what used to drive me batshit crazy because I'm like, I can't say this one more time. And so that's why you record it, right? And so when they're going through the content on their own, and you just have it open up a week at a time, so they know if they haven't hit the point where it's not open, then they're not at the point that they should be in the program, right? If you haven't hit a button and it says it's not available yet, then you're behind, right?
Mhm.
You haven't caught up. Yeah. So this is how you get people engaged and keep them rolling forward. Okay. So when you're doing the process, you want to make sure that you're on target for that. Okay. So you need a sales page that's going to convert, and you need to be offering your coaching in the process. Okay. So if you're going to be doing 7 weeks of coaching and you're doing ongoing, so this is the thing, you're not doing a call every week or a call every other week. You're doing ongoing 24/7 coaching. You send me your question at any time and I will get back to you during working hours, right? And that is much more valuable than you have to wait for a call and hope you get time on it, right? You always get time and you always do this. Now, I will tell you, you have to work with some people who talk too much. Okay. So sometimes people you have to set parameters for what the Marco Polo is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like 5 minutes or less, right? And if people start going on and on and on, you have to start referencing that and saying, look, this is a lot. And I would like you to try and bring it down. And if they can't, because some people can't, then you need to give everybody else permission to skip the share. Because if they find 8 or 10 different shares from somebody or several somebodies that are over 10 minutes each, it becomes too much, right? You need to say, look, if it becomes too much, you have carte blanche to skip any share you want. I would recommend that you listen to my responses to those shares, but you have the ability to skip whatever you want to catch up. Do not feel like you have to listen to everything. You have permission, right? And that way people don't get overwhelmed and just quit because it's too much, right? So like the 20 videos, somebody else came in and they were like, oh my God. I was like, you can skip whatever you want. Okay. I can't, but you can. What? I will tell you that some of those videos, if they were 20 minutes long, I got transcripts and I looked at them, right? And then I scanned the transcript to see if there was any, because there's summaries for the transcript. And I was like, if it sounded like there was something really important in there, if my name was mentioned and they were like, Kelly, I need this. And I do give them that parameter. It's like, if you're going to go on with extra stuff, please, if you have something specific for me, make sure you say my name, right? And that sort of thing. So, but these are things that are, you just work out. You put some parameters in the front. You say, hey, you know, if somebody's not following them, you say, hey, do you remember these parameters? Go back and look at this. This is how it's supposed to work, right? And so that way you can manage it. But for the average person, you know, 5 minutes, maybe 7 on the outside is fully sufficient. Most people are sending messages that are 2 to 5 minutes long. And so that's fine. And when you do the paid version, you can get the ability to speed it up and to get the transcript and to, you know, download the videos and all sorts of stuff. Because sometimes people, the wonderful thing about Marco Polo is that sometimes people will come on and just give you a spontaneous testimonial. And now you got a video testimonial. They'll just come on and say, "Oh my God, I'm having this thing has happened and it's so amazing." And they're just sharing with you, but it is an amazing testimonial, right? And you just say, "Would you mind if I use this as a testimonial?" And they're like, "No, no, please do that." And then you just download it, upload it. You got a full testimonial that's better than anything you'll ever get. Okay. So that's another benefit of using Marco Polo. All right. All right. So I feel like we've got an idea for you. Just make sure that you've got the next program ready by the time people get through the first one so that you can upsell them, right? You always want to give people more to do with you. They always want to go deeper. If they're getting good results, they want to keep going. So make sure you've got that handled one course at a time. Okay.
Yeah.
One, don't write 12 courses. All right. I have them. It's hard to sell them all. Okay. But, you know, one course at a time. And then, you know, get your sales page written up well. Okay. Now, I have I haven't even mentioned this yet. I have a sales page review and rewrite process that I do with people. And I can give you the link to that. I'll put the link in the show notes for this. I will tell you guys right now, I will not do more than 2 of these a week. So if I get flooded with these, you're going to have to wait. So just be patient. But it is a complete review, and I use an AI that's super trained on high-end people who write sales pages for $10,000 a page. It's trained on them, and then I go through and personally zhuzh it for the energetics and make sure that the energetics are in alignment and all of that. But you have to also, there's a whole process we have to go through of getting you set up with your brand and giving it enough information to be able to write like you and things like that. So we train up the AI to sound like you and look like you and know what you are and things like that. And then we get the sales page. The sales pages are amazing. God. I'm using it to rewrite all of my website. Now, do I have to go through 2 or 3 versions of it? Sometimes 4 or 5? Yes, because I know what works. And sometimes it spits out something and I'm like, not quite. That's too marketing bro. We need to go more spiritual, right? And so, you know, that's why I'm there, right? Is to make sure we're in the zone. That's an option for you. And okay, so we are near the end of our call. How do people find you if this program has appealed? And I think you're going to really love running this program. I think that what you were not excited about was having to re-deliver the message over and over again, and you don't have to in this format. I think you're going to love the coaching side of it. As I feel into your energy, that feels good, and you feel good, right? You feel like really light and excited now. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so your price point should really be up at around, I would start it out at 7 months. I would say at least $997, probably more like $1,497, $1,500, right? For a 7-week program. And then just look at which of those numbers actually works around a 7-part payment plan. Let's just do some quick numbers here. So if we've got 1,500 divided by 7, it's $214 a month. So that would be $250 a month is what you would do with that. That is an absolutely doable number for everybody. Know that if you're at this price point, there are going to be a lot of people who will miss payments and have to make up payments. And there's going to be a lot of that at that price point. Okay. When you get up above, if you get to like $350 a month, $350 a month, then, oh, sorry, that's a weekly number. Ignore me. That's not right. We're not paying weekly. 1,500 divided by 7 weeks is, we'll say 8 weeks. Say 8 weeks because that's easier, right? Eight
Yeah.
weeks is just a bonus week for them to do it, right? So divided by 2, so that's $750 a month. So you'll be fine, right? So they can do 2 payments of $750 a month. Or if they need a lower payment plan, you start them early and they start when they're 2 months from being done, right? They start the program that way, okay? But for 8-week program, that's a completely reasonable number, $1,500, right? And that's what I do. I have a 4-month program, and it's $750 a month. It's $777 a month because the program's $3,000 or $777 a month. And so you can do that too. You can do $1,500 or $777 a month. And that way, and that feels good, right? That feels valuing of your time, and it feels like an investment that they have to make in order to get there, right? And that's worthwhile, right? All right. Any questions real quick before we wrap up?
No, and I just want to say that I think that your price point actually feels better with my energy because I felt like I was shortchanging myself because I knew this transformation was going to carry them much further than the time that they were working with me. And I just felt like I had to keep cutting.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't do that.
but
Go up. Because the people who will invest emotionally, they'll invest to the level emotionally that they've invested financially. And yes, there are, for those of you out there who are going, not for me, there are exceptions, okay? But they are rare, okay? The average person, I'm talking about the average person. If they don't invest enough money, they won't invest enough time, energy, and intention, right? And so you really need them to have that commitment level. And if you're asking for $400 over 2 months, that's not much of a commitment, right? But, $1,500, that's a commitment. That's what you want. You need a commitment and you need readiness. And if they're in financial scarcity, they're not ready because any scarcity that you're in is going to prevent you from being ready for a transformational process. Okay. So how do people find you?
you can find me at elevatedaura.com.
Okay, great. So guys, if this has been helpful for you and you have somebody out there that you could share it with that would benefit from it, please do so. Like, subscribe, share, rate. This is how you balance the karma, and we love you for it. And remember that what you focus on expands. What you intend is what you create. So choose wisely.